This is Syllabrew. I'll take a few words, define them clearly, talk about how people actually use them, and give you example sentences so they have a better chance of sticking. Today's words are ostensibly, corroborate, ubiquitous, mitigate, and equivocate. Ostensibly. Ostensibly means apparently, supposedly, or on the surface. You use ostensibly when something is presented one way, but there may be more going on underneath. It is a useful word when you want to say, that is the official reason, but I am not entirely convinced that is the whole story. An ostensibly simple decision may actually have politics behind it. An ostensibly generous offer may come with strings attached. An ostensibly casual meeting may turn out to be very carefully planned. For example, the meeting was ostensibly about the budget, but most of the conversation was really about who had failed to do their part. Another example, the email was ostensibly friendly, but the phrase, as previously discussed, made it feel much more serious. Corroborate. Corroborate means to support a claim with additional evidence. If one person tells a story and another person confirms the same details, the second person helps corroborate the story. A receipt can corroborate where someone was. A photo can corroborate an account of what happened. A second source can corroborate a report. The word is common in journalism, law, history, research, and anywhere people are trying to separate a claim from actual evidence. For example, the witness's statement helped corroborate the timeline. Another example, the old receipt corroborated her memory that the repair had been done 2 years earlier, not last month. Ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means appearing everywhere or seeming to be everywhere. Something ubiquitous is so common that you almost stop noticing it. Smartphones are ubiquitous. Coffee shops can feel ubiquitous in some cities. Certain phrases become ubiquitous online, showing up so often that they start to feel automatic. The word is useful when common does not feel strong enough. Ubiquitous suggests that something is widespread, hard to avoid, and woven into everyday life. For example, QR codes became ubiquitous in restaurants, stores, parking lots, and advertisements. Another example, once she noticed the design trend, it suddenly became ubiquitous. Mitigate. Mitigate means to make something less severe, less harmful, or less intense. You do not usually mitigate something good. You mitigate risk, damage, pain, confusion, stress, or a bad outcome. The problem may still exist, but mitigation reduces its impact. A company might mitigate risk by having a backup plan. A city might mitigate flooding by improving drainage. A person might mitigate stress by getting organized before a deadline. For example, the new policy was designed to mitigate confusion during the application process. Another example, he could not prevent the mistake entirely, but he tried to mitigate the damage by correcting it quickly. Equivocate. Equivocate means to avoid giving a clear or direct answer, usually by using vague or misleading language. When someone equivocates, they are not exactly silent, but they are also not being fully clear. They may talk around the issue, answer a different question, or use wording that lets them avoid committing. This word is useful when someone is technically responding, but the response does not actually answer what was asked. For example, when asked whether the deadline would be met, he began to equivocate instead of giving a yes or no answer. Another example, the spokesperson equivocated for several minutes before admitting that the plan was still unfinished. So today's words were again ostensibly, meaning apparently or supposedly, especially when there may be more beneath the surface. Corroborate, meaning to support a claim without additional evidence. Ubiquitous, meaning appearing everywhere or seeming to be everywhere. Mitigate, meaning to make something less severe or harmful. Equivocate, meaning to avoid giving a clear or direct answer. Here are all those words in one sentence. Ostensibly, the new system was designed to mitigate delays, but the ubiquitous complaints were corroborated by the data even as the manager continued to equivocate. Got a word you've heard but never quite understood? Leave it in the comments, and I may use it in a future Syllabrew episode. Make sure to check the show notes for the spellings of these words. Thanks for listening to Syllabrew. You can support the podcast at buymeacoffee.com/why thank you.